Hello, everybody. My name is Tanvi Akhauri, and I'm from She the People. I have a very exciting panel lined up with me today. And these women entrepreneurs are brewing India's coffee culture and taking on new challenges and shaping the way that India is getting onto a new beverage, a fairly new beverage, because we are a tea drinking nation essentially. And let me just introduce my panelists to you today. I have with me Atsi Jamir from Nagaland. She is the founder of the Farmer Square Cafe, and she's fondly known as the coffee lady of Nagaland. I also have with me Sadhavi, Ashwani, and Mrinal Sharma of Baba's Beans. They run a coffee bar in Delhi, and they have an exciting new business that's bringing a lot of exciting flavors to the coffee market. Divisha Chaudhry, who's the co-founder of Bevzilla. They're doing a very interesting coffee cube innovation that is sort of redefining the way that India drinks coffee. More about the entrepreneurs, let's have them tell their sides of the story. So Atsi, let's begin with you. Can you tell us a bit about how the idea for your coffee startup brewed, and then we can have Sadhvi and Mrinal, on their own experiences.
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be connected with you all. I'm so happy, Tanvi, for giving me this opportunity. Okay. My entrepreneurial journey for this coffee startup ideas comes when I was working as a hostel warden. I would love to do when I was a kid, that I would love to do things from my own, and I love to do things which are handwork, like skills in anything in our works, which like add skills in our works. So that idea comes with social activities also. So a coffee shop is something which is a very decent place. Like you can connect to your customers directly. You have your own shares of stories. So something in that you are contributing to your society also in a very decent and polite way. So I love that connections and connectivity. So I started the coffee shop, and the idea comes to my mind that I can able to contribute something to the society, as well as show my skills and my talent and my passion to the people also. So that is something.
Perfect. So Sadhvi and Mrinal, let's move on to you. Can you tell me a little bit about how Baba's Beans got started?
Sure. So basically, Mrinal and I are college friends, and we both have had like a very similar worldview on things essentially, and that's how we even cultivated a friendship. But post college in basically 2012, we visited plantations we took a trip to like Bangalore and Coorg and Chikmagalur, and that was our first introduction to the plantations, so to speak. And once we basically looked at what coffee was on the soil at the farm level, there was just no going back. We've grown up being extremely obsessed with coffee. Like that's how our morning usually starts, with cold coffee, like even before school. So to be introduced to coffee in such a magnificent way, where you are actually on the farm level and you see how it's cultivated, and you understand that it takes around 9 months to basically have the crop, and then the processes that involve to just brew one cup of perfection. It was basically that really fascinated us, and we really wanted to do something they were just young, unabashed, very idealistic ideas at that time, because we were very young. But we just wanted to do something that would leave a dent in the economy somehow. Just big wild ideas. And coffee somehow just sort of amalgamated into that, where agricultural aspect of helping the farmers at the farm level, bringing them on the map, bringing a great experience on the menu for the consumer, and introducing India to what a fabulous crop we grow. And also the fact that coffee is like the second largest traded commodity in the world. All these factors and all this information sort of really pushed us in the direction of starting our entrepreneurial venture. and calling it Baba's beans, which actually comes from Baba Budan's name, who was a Sufi saint in the 17th century, who pilgrimed to Mecca and brought back green coffee beans, planted them in present-day Chikmagalur. So our name is actually an ode to him. Thank you for bringing coffee to India. So coffee has been around since a very, very long time. Yes, it's a new beverage up north, is what I would say. Okay, Mrinal, I'll let you take the rest forward.
Yeah, so I mean, of course, apart from getting mesmerized with the crop, we also saw a lot of gaps where between the consumer and the farmer. And as she mentioned, it's a very complex and the most traded, one of the most traded commodities in the world. So I think the idea was also to make this complicated, complex beverage into a simplified, enjoyable drink, whether in the cup or whether in the flow of information from farm to consumer to consumer to farm, and being the catalyst of converting this crop that we saw in all its glory, and bringing that I would say flavors and tones to the consumer, especially in North India and in different parts of the country. I mean, yes, South India drinks a lot of coffee, but they drink South Indian filter coffee. So also opening the doors at pan India, that as she said, we grow great quality crop, and India has its unique flavors and tones. And being the growing nation and being an agrarian economy, I think we as citizens should consume a quality crop, and that was the main driving force to start this.
Divisha, if you could tell us a little bit about how the idea of a coffee business brewed inside your head and how you got started.
Basically, Bevzilla was, you can say, a quarantine baby. And I was into event management. And by the time COVID hit, everything got shut. So I was just sitting at home and, just randomly thinking of, and I couldn't go out, to get coffee. So I was thinking that, maybe I could do something in that beverage sector, because honestly I love food, and I'm big foodie. So and I had a friend with me, so we were just thinking if we can do something about it. And yeah, it started researching, and it was really important for us to kind of uh, do everything in the context of Make in India as well. So we had this vision that we would go and directly contact the farmers of India, and directly contact the farmers of Jaggery as well. And yeah, we just started talking, got samples, started whipping up something, and we thought that pre-mix of coffee, it's not something innovative. So if we can somehow turn it into a cube, and it was just a vision, and it took a lot of time, honestly. And I used to sit with my mom, and we would drink like 40 cups of coffee a day, different recipe. And yeah, somehow it happened, and we launched Bevzilla just last year in September. So it's a baby right now. And yeah, that's how I came upon the idea of coffee cubes.
Amazing. So I just pulled up some very interesting data. Like I said, India has primarily been, a tea drinking nation. But data from YouGov in 2019 shows that there's a slight change in the kind of cultures between generations and how they perceive coffee. So where 67% Gen X respondents, which is the older population, agreed that India was a tea drinking nation, 49% of the Gen Z respondents to the survey said that, coffee culture was becoming more prominent. And they were of the view that it's growing and there is still a lot of scope to grow. As entrepreneurs entering and shaping the coffee market, what hurdles did you face? Hurdles or experiences with this within that, against that context of data?
Okay, so essentially, I'd like to start with like the data that we export more than like 70%
Right.
of the coffee that we grow,
Right.
and that's how, and we consume more than 90% of the tea that we grow,
Mhm.
which invariably, factually makes us a more tea-consuming nation than a coffee-consuming nation. Now, if I were to talk about the hurdles that as a coffee entrepreneur you would face, is first the it's just tea is much easier to brew. I'm not taking away from like the value of what tea is also as a crop, because it's a beautiful crop. But the idea is that I think one of the hurdles with coffee consumption also, as entrepreneurs and as coffee as a crop, for the consumption to grow, it is very important that the youngsters or the Gen Z is absolutely right. It's because that once the culture sort of comes on board, once the idea of home brewing comes on board, once the knowledge and education about brewing equipments, or we, so just to break it down, for example, a great cup of tea can be brewed in every Indian household. A great cup of cappuccino is not brewed in every Indian household. You know, they'd probably go to an instant, or they'd probably brew a black coffee. So the idea is that coffee is just complex like that. And I think that's the biggest hurdle, that there is so much possible in the world of coffee, and the different ways to brew it, to get different extractions, to use different brewing equipments, that the transference of that knowledge becomes the biggest hurdle, which is what coffee shops in India are trying to work towards, which is what I would like to say Mr. Siddharth Hegre from CCD incepted a fabulous concept at the very beginning, right? Like, I mean, people like us, we've grown up in school going to CCDs and having coffee. So I think that initiated it. But the third wave coffee brewing brands like us today, like Atsi, like other people in the industry, are really, probably working together to improve that knowledge, to improve that idea that, hey, you know what? You can brew an excellent cup of coffee at home too. If you are a coffee drinking person, there is a world of exploration just waiting for you. I think that knowledge, that transference, is basically the hiccup, which is why also you see that once people start understanding, start getting educated more about, say, what is a cold brew, how can you brew a cold brew at home, that's new for like youngsters in India. So those things, I think that's been one of the hurdles. Yeah, I mean, I'll let the others also take it.
Yeah, so the cubes, I thought that the cubes come in individual packaging. So it's very convenient that you can just take one pack and you can take it with you. You can go to work, or if you're going out somewhere and you want to have your favorite coffee. So yeah, that's what we thought, that we wanted to mainly target people who are on the go. Like when I was in event management, in the morning I did not even have time for breakfast, so I would just rush, and my mom would be like, wait, calm down, I'll make everything quickly. And I used to be like, no, I'm running late. So that is something that I wanted to kind of solve. You can say that I can just make that coffee in my car and just go on with my day. So it was really tough for us to kind of just convince people. Initially it was just online, we did not enter the retail market. It just happened like 3 months ago. So it was really tough just through an online ad to convince people to just try it first. And I think the idea of cube kind of really hit people, that maybe it's something interesting.
Yeah. So I'd like Atsi to come in here, and I mean, she runs a lovely cafe in Nagaland, where she serves, amazing fresh brews. Atsi, can you tell us, since you are in the cafe culture as well, can you tell us whether the Indian consumer is really enjoying what you are putting on the table? Are they appreciating the flavors that are presented to them?
Okay, yeah, coffee consumption habits have evolved along with society for more than 300 years, but around the world. But social changes imply different lifestyles and culture. So the lifestyle influence the myths used by people in their consumption decisions. So, and we have it depends on the individual. that we have, the coffee drink has individual sensory characteristics. And depending on that version, we also have a varieties of coffee brewing methods. And depending on that methods, we, as an individual or as a coffee lover or as a consumption, we can get different kinds of sensories, and we can able to choose the cups. Which kind of, do you like to go for cappuccino, you like to go for espresso shot, or you would like to go for manual brews? It depends on the individual taste buds. Like, we are not only serving a cup of coffee, but we are also trying to make them understand, like, how a coffee brewed shares to the people, and how that cup of coffee connects people. And at the same time, it definitely, like, it depends on the person, how you are giving to the people. So it will make them love the coffee.
Mrinal, so like Atsi said, it's no more, coffee is no more just a beverage that, you consume when you wake up in the morning to give a kick, to your, to give a kickstart to your day. But, it's becoming a beverage that people are really learning to enjoy. What other consumer trends are we seeing in the Indian market? If you could tell, shed light on any of those.
Yeah, so I think I completely agree with Atsi on that. It's not a usual drink anymore, and as you also said, like, you need it when you wake up. And it's I think it's very, very exciting to see how the notion is completely changing, that it's a black bitter drink. And even as a coffee brand, we try to break that with as many consumers as possible, that you can have a black coffee without sugar, it can still be sweet, it's not necessary it has to be bitter. So this is the where the work is being put out, that okay, that let's play with the flavors, let's play with the tones, and create something that your consumer wants. And it should, I mean, and it basically, you discover a new tone every time you have a sip. So and there is a huge demand where we see for these things in the coming few years. And even if we look at the figures, the demand that was stagnant at 2% before 2000 is now increasing at 5%, and we're expecting that to grow even further, especially in the home consumer demand. And one of the things that we have seen is that when a consumer steps out for a cup of coffee, they're looking for an experience. And in our coffee bar, we try and experiment, and we create recipes that basically completely breaks the stereotype. We brew with different herbs, we brew with different fruits sometimes. And these experiments that are put out in our lab menu, so something like coconut cappuccino was first put out as an experiment, but because of the great demand and people loved it, we had to shift it to the classics, the usual coffees that are there. So the things that we start today as experiments are quickly converting into the usual drinks of our customers. So we see that in the coming times, consumers are definitely looking for more varieties of coffee to try from, whether it's single origin, whether it's single estate coffees. They're looking for special experiences in their cup. They're open to experimenting. Today's consumer wants different. Their palates are more exposed, and they want to. And when they step out, whether it's for a meal or for a cup of coffee, they are looking for an adventure.
Drink coffee are kind of into fitness. Black coffee, for example, it's a great pre-workout, and people actually get addicted to it. I'm addicted to it, black coffee, first thing in the morning. So I think black coffee is something that has a lot of scope.
Let's move on to where food and beverage comes into play into with regard to culture, with regard to shaping the culture of a place. For instance, in India, tea has, since it's been around for so long, it's obviously been perceived as a very grown-up drink. And for instance, when we see it in relation to women, it's always been seen as a drink that's meant to be prepared and served to others. It often comes across as as a definer of your own personality. There's a very famous dialogue from a Hindi film that goes, chai to mammiya peeti hai, Now, coffee is a modern girl's drink. That's what the lead hero of a film says. Do you think women are sharing any special kind of relationship with coffee today? Is it sort of, presenting them as, go-getters, or is it sort of fueling aspirations? Or is that just a myth?
Yeah, I think it's a myth because, like even as entrepreneurs, we get asked a lot of times, how do you feel like being a woman entrepreneur? I don't know, because I don't know any other way of being an entrepreneur, like I'm a woman, that's all I'm going to know. And second, I think the only ounce of truth there, like Atsi also said earlier, is that, as being a part of this industry, being coffee entrepreneurs, what we have also realized is essentially coffee is a lifestyle, right? It's a lifestyle. So as a coffee brand, we also try and promote, even through the lab menus that we offer or through any experience. The idea to educate the consumer is about the fact that this is a lifestyle drink. You're going to enjoy it according to your own palate, according to your own particular exposure of your tongue. You're going to enjoy those flavors that actually sit with your mind and your palate. So it's an exploration. Yes, I mean to counter the whole mummy banati hai chai, like I think like every dadaji down south brews filter coffee at 4 a.m. like without fail, so like I think it's more to do with looking at this crop as a lifestyle and imbibing and embracing it as a personal subjective manner.
Yeah, I think I agree with Sadhavi completely. It's a gender bias. It's a personal choice, and there is no gender associated with it. I mean, we can love anything, right? I mean, it's a palate thing. So, but I mean, of course, what we as industry people like knowing is that if someone likes, I would say, kadak chai, they tend to like filter coffee more. If someone likes, let's say, green tea or light tea, they tend to enjoy more of a flat white more. So that's the kind of palate understanding is what we perceive in a food and beverage industry. And that's the kind of, I would say, culture that we are looking at.
I don't think that coffee is something that should be, very gender oriented. And I'm really kind of hoping that, since the generation is moving forward, and these jokes, honestly, I hate them.
Okay, it's I don't know. It's something very. It's a topic, so I would. I don't have that much to share too long for this, but then, just an example. Like in Nagaland, we have four coffee shop owners. Okay, it's not a cafe, but it's a properly coffee shop owners. So we have four who deals in specialty coffee, and all the coffee shop owners, they are like men. All right, so I'm the only woman who only deals basically specially in a coffee. So I'm the only woman, but it's just a definition, it's just a me say it like Sadhavi, that it depends on the person. You cannot define like as somebody's dream that you cannot brew. I'm a certified barista, so you cannot become a barista and standing on the back of the counter and serve to the people. No, it's a passion. So it doesn't define so much with a male or female. You like something about it and you want to do it, and it comes, you compete with all these four females, four males. So like, but that doesn't define anything. Yeah, it's purely about your work, your journey.
Going digital, or like, digital tools have helped you guys to sort of expand business and, get good quality brews to say a tier 3 city. And, is the availability of internet access and, new technology enabling the spread of India's coffee culture to places that may not have indulged in it so much had there been no web service?
As long as my place concerned, it's a little bit yet to grow in that technical things, because I'm living in such a not like in a Dimapur city or in a Kohima city. I'm in the middle of Kohima, and Dimapur is located in somewhere outskirt a little bit. internet and technical things helps me a lot for advertisement or posting my works and all in those fields. Like it's good, it's okay, but then in other fields for logistic or other things, I'm yet to be there. So I think I would learn from the other person more.
I think technology has a very, very immense role to play in today's day and age with respect to any business or even like your own life, right? I mean, how much time do we spend on Instagram? But that's what's actually boosts what boosts like the presence and the accessibility for brands like ours, you know. So yes, one aspect is yes, the accessibility, the reach, the affiliate channels, that really helps a brand boost itself than the traditional ways in which people would market, like say 50 years back. You know, the game has really, really changed with regards to that. But like for example, even if Atsi does not have the internet, I can still learn about her cafe just because of Instagram, and I can bookmark it and know that when I visit there next time, I'm going to go there.
Yeah.
Apart from digital media, I think we are so comfortable with Zoom and other these kinds of platform, and especially after the pandemic. I mean, for us business to be located in one place, we were able to reach out to different consumers pan India through workshops. So recently, we did a coffee cocktail where we had participants from pan India, from people from Orissa, Bengal, Bangalore. So I mean, this, and people are comfortable now being on these platforms, so it is easier for brands like us to reach out to more and more people.
So, I mean, taking on from what all of you said, and I mean, I'd like to conclude with this. You know, whenever there's the presence of the digital, there's often the accusation that businesses are losing their ethical quality. But I know that all of you entrepreneurs are doing, are relying on a lot of ethical operations. To run your business. I know Sadhavi and Mrinal, you guys are platforming plantation workers in a huge way. And Atsi, I mean, I'd like you to shed more light on how you are giving space and opportunity to, women brewing more coffee in Nagaland. So all of you, as I see it, are engaging at the grassroots and with rural communities. So can you tell me a little bit about what an ethical coffee business entails? And what's pushing you to give more space to the less represented groups?
Okay, so actually, like in India, around 90% of the farmers have less than 10 hectares of land. That's roughly around 25 acres. So we're an agrarian economy, or at least we were. Now we're more tertiary economy for some reason. But like just going back to those roots, we grow the crop. So what would be an ethically sourced coffee would be, are we working towards getting the farmer on the map, which means how are you sourcing, how do you source, where do you source from, how is the coffee processed, how much information about that are you sharing with the consumer, how much information there is available real time. Then are you working towards, as a brand who's basically working for profit and taking these coffees as a crop and selling it to consumers, are you working in such a way that you get the farmer the fair trade price? Like, is he making the right buck on the crop that he's actually cultivating for you? How much information are you sharing about these grassroots things with the consumer? That's how you're going to be able to connect the farmer and the consumer, right? Has been evolving with evolving societies, and this is the next step of evolution.
We're trying to push as our initiative is that to push out cherries, which are sun-dried coffees, and they do not use water. So as a brand, we're trying to put these Arabica cherries or Robusta cherries in the forefront, because they do not use water in their, I would say, processing. So which is another environmental friendly practice that we're trying to promote in our practices, that, okay, we will source coffees which are sun-dried. Yes, plantation coffee is amazing. It tastes well, but we will, I mean, in the coming future, we will like to match the taste profile and satisfaction in the cup, even while we're using cherries. And so that we don't use so much water in the coming future in our processing.
Just a small point there, like there is a big concept of certifying plantations. The idea is that the small farmer may not have the kind of money also that it takes takes to get that certification. So maybe like the first step for entrepreneurs like us is to ensure that that ethical sourcing is happening, whether or not there is the certification, you know, that will charge the premium.
If you could weigh in on this and also tell us a little bit about how you are, giving opportunity to women brewing coffee, women from Nagaland brewing coffee, and providing for local businesses.
Regarding ethical, I would also love to add some point. Like we deal in specialty coffee. I totally agree with with my two panels that since we deal in specialty coffee, so all the things it's ethical in the sense the authenticity is also there. Like we are not for the instant coffee that we normally usually take it, but the process of specialty coffee is very special. That's why it's called a specialty coffee. At the same time, because from the farmers to the roaster, to the plantations, to the processing, because even from the processing also, and we have different kind of processing methods, and even for a small farm, whether it's a small farm or it's a big farm, it doesn't matter. The person who is involved in the specialty coffee, like from plantations to the growers to the consumers, it's like it's a domestic and purely like it's a very purely process. And from the growers to the planters to the roasters, it has been like the process is very pure and very ethical. And the domestic per capita coffee consumption is negligible, especially in regions. But then like coffee consumption in India would be double, like in future. I mean, if we continue to be authentic in our works. As a certified barista, I encourage my girls, my ladies, my women that a woman can be of any profession, like whether it's in a counter, it's in a brewing section, or it's in a tea, or in any industry.
This has been such an energizing and insightful conversation, and just like coffee. I mean, we've stayed true to our theme, and there's been so many different flavors of how the culture is developing as far as coffee is concerned. I thank all of you panelists for joining me. It was a very, very enlightening chat and very interesting. Sadhavi and Mrinal, I wish you all the best. Atsi, all the best for your cafe. And, I hope coffee only grows.